People know we have experience. You can murmur all you want, but experience matters when you're the higher man.
You don't know one gangster. You don't know one.
That's why you murmur when you support folks who have experience. But I actually had oversight for the Juvenile Justice Commission. So any child in the state of New Jersey, so to Darrell's point, any child in the state of New Jersey who commits a crime goes to the care of the Juvenile Justice Commission. And under Governor Corzine, for over 2 years, I was in charge of that. We invested in effective reentry and transitional programs and services so that there would be a more seamless, wasn't perfect, but a more seamless transition as kids left from either Jamesburg or Bordentown and came back to their local school district. We went further. We actually reduced the number of kids who went to juvenile prisons in the first place by investing in station house adjustment, alternatives to detention, community-based programs. So that even if a child has to deal with an intervention, it's a more community-based intervention rather than sending them to Jamesburg or Bordentown, where they're away from their families. We invested in much more intensive educational services. Similar to I talked about extended learning time in our traditional school district, we did the same for our schools within the JJC. Now, results matter because we're dealing with our children. It's not just about talking about it. It's actually got to produce a different result. We doubled the graduation rate in the Corzine year for kids who were committed to our care. These are kids who committed a crime. The Casey Foundation, for those alternatives to detention I talked about, examined our program, examined every program in the country. They said New Jersey was the best in the country for alternatives to this very population that Darrell asked me about. So when you go in the voting booth, you got to think about who's going to actually produce a different result. When you have 111 murders in this city, when you got a graduation rate barely above 50%, unemployment twice the national average, 4 years later, you need to evaluate, do we have different results? Not that we just talk about problems, but do we produce a different result?
I agree with Shavar. Results matter. And I haven't had the pleasure to be in Trenton for 2 years, but I've been in Newark for 22. So here's the experiences that I have, right? So my experience is leaving basketball games and going up to Dunkin' Donuts and my kid is dead on the street in front of Dunkin' Donuts, his face is looking at me. My experience is leaving Central High School, going across to Little Bridge Projects and putting a blanket over a young girl's head who's dead on the street, who a phone call on my cell phone to get to Irvin Turner because another kid has been shot. My experience is wrestling a Tech 9 from the hip of a young kid on the side of Weekday High School with Officer Rivera. Those are the experiences I have. So I've also had, and I'm sure it's no trouble people catching the going to 1 and 9 down the Trenton to the State House. But I have an experience of reducing the persistently dangerous schools list. Central High School, when I came there, was on a persistently dangerous school list. In a year, we removed it off the persistently dangerous school list. When I came there were students getting murdered after basketball games. We effectively got rid of a gang culture in the school and produced alternative organizations that are filled with 200 or more students in those schools today. Some teachers don't understand it, but they weren't there when we first started, when people were busting in the hallway, getting jumped from students outside. Those are results. We did those. I didn't do it with paperwork. I did it here in the city of Newark. I pulled together 250 kids from all the projects and neighborhoods in the city and got them to sign on a dotted line that we will stop shooting, that we'll stop fighting, that if you help us do X, Y, and Z, we'll also be a part of it. Yeah, and you got to write a few letters too. So I did those things to make sure